to the Four Bells Fitness Emporium, here for Workout from Home number 49, into week number 3 of our GPP, our General Physical Preparedness Program, getting us ready for our return to the gym. With today's first workout this week, it is a lower body day with an emphasis on hinging mechanics. In particular, Romanian deadlifts is going to be the focus of our strength piece, or, depending on what you have available, single leg deadlifting. Either way, hinging of some kind. In our warm-up today, we're getting ready for that hinging. We're going to start with some walking lunges, meant to get the hips nice and mobile. From there into the inchworm, get some flexibility into the posterior chain, and last but not least, some single-legged hamstring curls to make sure the hamstrings and the glutes and the posterior chain are getting nicely warmed up before we get into our strength piece. So we're going to do walking lunges, inchworms, and single-leg hammy curls for 3 sets today, and let's spend a little bit more time seeing how those bad boys look. With the walking lunges, pretty simple, guys. You've all done walking lunges before, but the thing to remember, as always, is base of support. What are the feet doing when it comes to walking lunges, or any kind of lunge? I like to say that when we're doing lunges, the mantra is pretty straightforward. Well, I suppose the setup is pretty straightforward, then the mantra that follows it is pretty straightforward. I want to have the feet hip width, toes pointing straight forward, and keeping those feet on train tracks. I don't want to line things up so that we lose balance. I want to make sure that when I am lunging, I'm taking a big step forwards, gently touching the knee down, and the mantra is shoulders back, hips forwards. We are trying to get a little bit of a stretch through that trailing hip flexor every single time I do a walking lunge. So depending on how much space you have where you are, maybe you've got enough space to do a whole bunch of walking lunges, or maybe you don't. Maybe it's just 2 in one direction, you turn around, do 2 back. You might have a very long garden or a long basement where you can do 10 walking lunges all the way. From there, when we get into inchworms today, with the inchworm, all I'm really thinking about is trying to stretch the hamstring. So that means keeping those legs straight. I'm going to bring the hands down to the floor, walk the hands out into a plank, and then from here, when I walk the hands back in, we're trying to keep the legs as straight as possible. So legs straight, legs straight, legs straight, legs straight, as I stand in and then stand up. You're going to find that for some of you, keeping the legs straight is going to be very, very challenging. So if you need to bend them a little bit, that's okay, but we're trying to keep them as straight as possible. From there, we're going to come into a single leg hamstring curl. I'm going to lay down on the floor. I'm going to put my feet on a box, on a chair, on the edge of the couch. Doesn't really matter. Make sure it's a nice, solid surface I can drive my heel into. I'm going to take one leg, point it up to the ceiling. This leg, heel drives into the box, and I'm going to drive my hips up, squeeze the glutes, and control back down. Every time I drive up, I'm trying to drive that heel down, trying to contract the hamstring as much as possible. We're going to do 5 on one leg and 5 on the other. So, 10 walking lunges today. From there, 5 inchworms, and then 5 per leg of a hamstring curl on a box, or a bench, or a chair. We're doing that for 3 rounds today. The strength piece for Workout from Home 49 is an antagonist pairing of hinging and squatting today, which means across our 5 sets, each of those sets is 3 minutes long, split into 2 90-second windows of time. So in our first 90-second window of time, you see here you have a choice. It is Romanian deadlift, so a bilateral 2-legged hinging pattern, or is it single leg deadlifts, unilateral hinging patterns? And I would say your decision today is going to be made by the equipment you have available to you. So if you are lucky enough to have a barbell with weights where you can incrementally add load, then you should be doing Romanian deadlifts on 2 legs today for 10 reps. If you don't have a huge amount of weight, or you're working with limited resources, then we're going to add a little bit of stability and balance into the mix and make you do single leg deadlifts for 5 reps on your weaker side and then 5 reps on your stronger side today. Either way, if we can, across the 5 sets, whether it's Romanian deadlifts or single leg deadlifts, we're going to try and get progressively heavier as we go through. So of course we're going to talk about how that's going to work in just a second. From there into my next 90 seconds, we are going to do some kind of front-loaded squat, which is why it says front squat. What it means is some object in front of you. That could be easy options like a barbell in a front rack position. It could be a goblet squat. It could be holding a large dog in front of you. Something where the weight is in front of your body, trying to enforce a nice upright torso position, which in turn should dictate a nice deep squatting position. The idea is with our front squats is we are going to use a 3-0-3-0 tempo, which means 3 seconds on the way down, 3 seconds on the way up. We're going to be moving consistently for 45 seconds today. So let's spend a little bit of time seeing how RDLs and single leg deadlifts should look today, and also how our tempo front squats should look. With the first part of our strength piece today, it is either Romanian deadlifts, standing on both legs, or single leg deadlifts, standing on just one leg. So as I mentioned at the board talk, very briefly, it's really going to depend on what equipment you have available. With the Romanian deadlift, because I've got both legs on the floor, it means that stability and balance is not as much of an issue, which means I can usually overload the weight that much more than I can do on a single leg. So if you want to do a Romanian deadlift today, the Romanian deadlift mechanics in terms of hinging, pretty straightforward. Different to a conventional deadlift where the hips come back and then down towards the floor. In a Romanian deadlift, it's more of a true hinge. I'm just pushing the hip back, trying to have a soft bend in the knee as I stretch the hamstring, load the glutes, bring the torso parallel, and then a nice violent hip extension forwards. So if I'm on the bar, I want to make sure that I'm setting up. I personally like to start from the top down with my Romanian deadlift, so I feel like I've got the posterior chain to stabilize my spine. I have the feet hip width, keeping the eyes and chest pointing forwards. I lean back with the hips, making sure I keep that spine nice and neutral as I come into a big stretch through the hamstring, and then from there we drive the hips forward and squeeze the glutes. Push the hips back, big stretch as much as I can, and then drive the hips forward, making sure that every single time I do a rep, we keep that spine nice and neutral throughout. If the barbell is not available to you, or heavy objects are not available to you today, then you can, of course, do your deadlifting or Romanian style deadlifting on a single leg. So personally for me, when I do these, I like to use 2 objects. That could be 2 kettlebells, 2 dumbbells. It makes me feel more balanced through the shoulders. And the rules applied are the same. I'm still going to push the hip back, still going to squeeze or load up the hamstring and the glutes as I bring the torso down to parallel, and then nice and aggressive with the hip drive through. Push the hips back, drive, stretch, and then drive the hips forwards. 5 on one leg, 5 on the other. So when it comes to our squatting today, it says 3 seconds down, 3 seconds up, down and up, down and up, down and up. There is no sneaky pausing at the end of each phase of the movement. So for 45 seconds, I'm going to have my front squat. Could be a dumbbell, could be a kettlebell, could be a barbell, could be a dog, whatever you want to use. It'll be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You get the idea. 3 seconds down, 3 seconds up, constant tension on the legs for 45 seconds straight. If we can, with the Romanian deadlifts and the single leg deadlifts, try and get heavier. And if we can, with the squats for 45 seconds, try and get heavier too. 5 sets. Conditioning piece. It's a 10-minute AMRAP today. 600 seconds of joy, where we have got 3 movements that we're going to go through and try and get them done as many times as possible in that 10-minute window. I start my 10-minute AMRAP off today with 6 per leg of a step up. So that means stepping up onto a chair, stepping up onto the steps, onto the edge of the couch, onto a box, onto your garden wall. Whatever it happens to be, I'm going to do 6 reps on one leg, 6 reps on the other. Depending on what you know about your single limb strength, maybe we're alternating back and forth with legs, or maybe I'm doing all 6 on one side and all 6 on the other. I would say if we have a glaring difference between leg strength, you should do all 6 on a weaker leg first, and then all 6 on your stronger leg. Same rules apply when we get to our next exercise, reverse lunges today. So with the reverse lunge, I could step back in an alternating fashion for 6 reps per leg, 12 total. Or if I know I have one leg that really needs to play catch up, I should be dealing with that leg first, and then the second leg second. Last but not least, our third movement is a quick burst, a sprint today. So that means a 100-meter sprint. So that means leave your house, run 50 meters down the street, turn around, come back in, and then get straight back into step-ups. That could mean jumping onto your rower and doing a very fast 100. If you're lucky enough to have a ski erg or an air dyne, it could be 100 meters or 10 calories. Either way, very short, very intense burst. If you don't have a machine available to you or access to the outside, then it could be things like jumping jacks for 25 reps super fast, or being on a skipping rope and turning that rope for 25 times super fast. Either way, the idea is sprint. So make it sprinting. 10-minute AMRAP. We're doing 6 step-ups per leg, 6 reverse lunges per leg. Then we're going to look about sprinting. Let's take a little look at all those things. With our conditioning piece and our 10-minute AMRAP today, 3 movements to get through. Step-ups, which could happen on a box, on a sturdy chair that's not going to move anywhere, some actual stairs in your house, your garden wall, wherever it happens to be. We're doing some kind of step-up today. So look around. If you don't have anything to step up onto, then maybe you could do forward lunges as well. That would be an alternative. But really what we're looking for here, as I stand up in my step up, is to make sure that it's a hip-focused leg drive. So with a lunge, more knee-focused. With the step up, more hip-focused. So that's the aim of the game today. With the step-ups and the reverse lunges, you can do them body weight, but I would like, if you find body weight pretty easy, to do them weighted. Add some objects into your life. That could be holding 1 dumbbell in a goblet position, could be holding 2 dumbbells by your sides. Either way, as I said, it could be alternating step-ups, going from one leg to the next, or it could just be focusing on one leg for 6 reps, and then moving on to the next leg. As soon as I've done my step-ups, I don't need to go far. I'm just going to go straight into my reverse lunges, keeping the torso as upright as possible as we go through those 12 reps. Once those 24 reps are done, 12 step-ups, 12 reverse lunges, we're into our sprint. So that means if you're on a rower, go fast. If you're on a ski erg, go fast. If you're on an air dyne, go faster. And if you can go outside, sprint to the local lamppost, which is 50 meters away, turn around and come back. And if you're inside, 25 super fast skips, 25 super fast jumping jacks. I want the sprint to be sprinting. Good luck, kids. With today's extra sauce, a little challenge for everybody today. What we're trying to see is how many shin grabber sit-ups we can get done in a 3-minute window. The idea, no mercy, no surrender. 3 minutes, maximum shin grabbers, and let's see who is king or queen or person ding-a-ling of the gym today. So that means, how do I do a shin grab? Well, we've done these a few weeks ago, so you should know, to remember, they start with the heels on the floor, legs extended, hands on the floor, arms extended. I'm going to do an explosive sit-up. Grab my shins. Notice how the feet are flat on the floor. Notice how I'm actually grabbing my shin. Notice how I'm pulling myself into my knees. The idea is, as many reps in 3 minutes. Good luck on your quest, kids. It's going to be awesome. Post your scores to Slack if you're in the gym, and if you're not in the gym, post your scores to the comments below. We want to know how you did. Good luck.